Hi everyone and welcome to another exciting episode of Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host Anthony Gamer and I am Red the Fox. And in today's episode we're going to be discussing really vintage arcade games. During the run of Classic Gamer 74, I've discussed several arcade games. Yeah, one of the ones we do the most is where we do the AVP. That's where we take an arcade game and compare it to its various ports. Exactly. And we are the channel that came up with the whole concept of AVP. Nobody else. And also, in a couple other episodes, I've discussed arcade games that didn't receive any ports. Oh yeah, that's for sure. That one episode, it was called AVP, no AVP, or Arcade Without VP. Something like that, exactly. Oh yeah, that one was kind of fun. Yeah, especially that later on I learned that some of those games did actually have ports. Yeah, but not in the United States. Oh yeah, that's true. But some of the games were European. But, anyway. So today we're going to go back in time further than any game that we've ever discussed before. How much further back? Well, I think probably the earliest game we ever talked about was probably made in 79, 80, 81, around there. Oh yeah, that's true. So in today's episode we're going to go even further back to the games that are so old, many of them won't run on MAME. Now, aside from purchasing these old arcade machines, which I would be really surprised if any of them are still running. Oh yeah, me too. And like I said, most of these will not work on MAME. Some of them never did. Yeah, others of them just worked for like a hot second, and then in later versions they stopped working. Yeah, I know, that's always kind of a thing with MAME, it seems. So what were you to do if you'd like to play these really old games, aside from actually purchasing one of these cabinets, which I'm pretty sure they're not working anymore, unless they've been restored. I mean, there's people out there that pretty much could restore anything. Oh yeah, your dad was like that. Oh, he sure was. Well, of course, when there's an issue like this, somebody comes along and invents an emulator, and that's why we have DICE. DICE stands for Discrete Integrated Circuit Emulator. Now, what this will do is it will emulate arcade machines that don't have a CPU, and they only consist of discrete logic components. In other words, there are boards inside of these arcade machines, but no CPU to speak of. And why was that? Well, I think it's because at that time computers were much larger. I mean, I don't even think at that time there were such a thing as personal computers. So I don't think it was possible to get all that technology inside that cabinet. And even though the cabinets at that time were actually a little bit smaller than the ones we're used to now, a lot of these were kind of wider. And so all the games that we're going to look at today are coming to you courtesy of the emulator DICE. So, you ready to get started? Oh yeah, I'm ready when you are. Okay then, let's get to the games. Alright, we're going to be discussing the games in alphabetical order today, not chronological order like we usually do. Yeah, you can really tell this guy was a teacher here. He likes doing these lists and in different orders and stuff. Okay, Red, let's get started. Okie dokie. Now, the first game we have today is AntiAircraft. This was released in 1975 from Atari, as many of the games on today's list were. I mean, not from 1975, but they were from Atari. Yeah, I think they knew what you were saying. Okay. Alright, this game is a fixed shooter. If this game kind of looks familiar to you, it probably should, because this was pretty much the idea for the game Target Fun or Air and Sea Battle came from this. Oh yeah, and we sure had a lot of fun doing that, didn't we? Yeah, that was one of my first hacks was of Air and Sea Battle. Now, unlike Air and Sea Battle, which has technically a one-player game, this one is a two-player only. As you can see, Red and I are tied at 2 and 2. Yeah, and you can also hear something missing there. You just got 3. Well, something you may hear missing or not hear is sound. We're not exactly sure if this game didn't have sound yet or if this was something in emulation. Alright, next up we have Attack. This is from 1977 by Exidy. Alright, this is another one of them military-like shooting games. You can have up to 4 players, but of course it's just me and Anthony out there. Now what you do is one person flies the plane and one person drives the battleship, and you try to shoot each other down as many times as you can. Yeah, that's true. We were having a Dickens trying to figure out the controls on this. Oh yeah, but then once we got the hang of it, it was pretty good. Yeah, we're like, we played this for quite a while. Now, this may also look a little familiar to you guys too, because this one is quite similar to some of the things you find on air and sea battle. So you can kind of see where the inspiration for that game and others came from. And next, from 1976, we have Breakout from Atari. Okay, now many of you are familiar with the game Breakout. Many of you probably don't know that Breakout used to be a arcade game before it was Atari 2600 game. That's true. Well, maybe some other people knew it, but we just discovered it. Oh yeah, that's for sure. Now, you're probably familiar with the whole concept of Breakout. You're bouncing that ball there, trying to make your way through, and the further you go, the higher the points, and the faster the ball comes at you. Incidentally, how good were you at Breakout? Well, believe it or not, I really wasn't that good at it when I was younger, mostly because our paddle controllers pretty much died not long after we got them, but I'm pretty good at the arcade one. Alright, and next, from 1974, from Ramtech, we have Clean Sweep. Alright, the best we can figure out in this game, you're trying to hit that guy up top there. You can have two players, which makes the game kind of fun. You're basically trying to create a pathway and hit as many of those dots as you can, and then hit the guy at the top, which kind of looks like a broom, and that kind of does explain the title of the game. And next up, from 1975, we have Crash and Score by Atari. Alright, now this here is a 1- and 2-player game, and you're pretty much doing what the title says. You're driving around there, and you're trying to hit these numbers in the order they give them to you. And the more numbers you get, the higher the score you get. Pretty fun game there, and it's actually one of the first times I've ever seen a video game that encourages you to crash into stuff. Most of the time we do it anyway, but we're not supposed to. Okay, and next up, from 1975, we have Crossfire. This also was from Atari. Now in this particular game, what you're doing is you're trying to shoot the ball into each other's end, or just off the screen there. See, I just scored a point. And that's what you're doing. You're just pretty much trying to shoot that ball enough times so that it gets enough momentum to cross into the other person's screen and score points. And next we have Gotcha from 1973, manufactured by Atari. Now the best way I can describe this here game is that it's a 2-player game and you're trying to catch each other or get each other squished. Pretty cool game, really fun to play, and we were just having a ball chasing each other and trying to get ourselves squished by those continuously moving things. A lot of fun, and I can guarantee you back in the day there was probably a lot of people hanging together and playing this here game. Next up, from 1975, we have Highway, also from Atari. Now in this game, also have to point out there's no sound in it. You actually drive this car with a steering wheel, and you're trying to pass as many cars as you can without running into either one of them. It's a really fun game, and the road kind of twists and turns like you wouldn't believe. You could say that this was kind of like pole position before pole position. Yeah, except for you don't really have a time there. You just kind of are working for points. Oh, that's true. And next up here we have Indy 4 from Atari from 1977. Now this game has a lot of firsts. Oh, like what's that? Well, for one thing, it has color, which is definitely a first for many of these games. Also, this is one of the first games that has 4 players simultaneously. If you looked at the cabinet in the previous picture, you see that you have 4 steering wheels and accelerator pedals. So about as realistic of a racing game as you were going to be able to get back then. Okay, next we have Jet Fighter from Atari from 1975. Now, if this game looks kind of familiar, it probably should, as it seems like it's the basis for combat. Now, in this one, you're flying these jets and you're trying to shoot each other as many times as possible. But it's also possible to shoot yourself. You can shoot and then the bomb will explode and then you could fly right into it just like that. Really a fun game. We had a lot of fun playing this game just like we did playing Combat. And next up from 1974 we have Rebound, and as you can see it's pretty much like that Video Olympics version of volleyball. So if you like volleyball and you got a buddy to play with, have yourself a lot of fun, because we sure did. Oh yeah, but we always do when we play games together. Oh yeah, that's true, even if we're not very good at it. Notice that we're skipping over all the Pong-related games, as we're going to do a whole episode just dedicated to Pong and Pong-related games. So next, we have my personal favorite game, Shark Jaws, from 1975 from Atari. Now, just like Anthony, I was a big fan of the movie Jaws. As a matter of fact, I think just about everybody was that around that time period, and pretty much hereafter. Oh yeah. Now, in this game, you take on the role of this diver, and you're trying to get the fish, and at the same time, that big old shark is trying to get you. So you're trying to get as many fish as you can without becoming shark food. Now, of course, this has really nothing to do with the movie, but still, it was a tie-in, and luckily, this was probably the game, I think, honestly, that inspired Anthony to try to figure this out in the first place. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've known about this game for a long time, but as it never worked on MAME, I was trying to find a way to play it, and I finally did. As many of you know, the game Shark Jaws is based on the movie Jaws. It's an unofficial tie-in. What do you mean unofficial? Well, they weren't actually able to get the rights and stuff to it, so that's why they call it Shark Jaws. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I understand. Alright, so speaking of Jaws, that's today's trivia question. Many of you are familiar with the film Jaws. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen it, or at least heard of it, and those of you that have seen it probably had nightmares for many months. Oh, I sure did. I did too, kind of. Oh, actually, I was too young to see it when I saw it, so that was probably the main reason why. Oh yeah. Anyway, so with the film Jaws, it was actually based on a book that came out a year earlier. So today's trivia question, who was the writer who wrote the book Jaws? You think you know the answer? Wait till the end and see if you're correct. Next, we have Steeplechase from 1974 from Atari. Alright, now the reason I decided to do this game was simply because there aren't a lot of horse racing games. Oh, that's for sure. I think Intellivision had one, and I believe that's about it. Yeah, me too. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comment section below. This game also stands out a lot for two reasons. One, it has color, and two, you can have up to 6 people playing this game simultaneously. I don't know how they all crowded around that cabinet, but regardless, this has got to be definitely a first. 6 players at the same time. Wow. And our final game for today is Stunt Cycle from Atari, released in 1976. Now in this here game, what you're doing is you're driving a motorcycle, and you actually have handlebars and a throttle, and you're trying to lean back and hit the throttle just hard enough so you can clear the buses down there. Really a fun game, but I tell you what, it's pretty easy to mess this game up, but it's still a lot of fun. And the answer to today's trivia question, who was the author of the book Jaws? And the answer is Peter Benchley. He was also the writer of a book called The Great White and Beast. As I told you in the last episode, I'm going to be taking a hiatus, probably for a month or two. Oh, that's too bad. Well, you know, I got other things going. You know, I got to keep working on my books and, you know, some other projects. But in the meantime, I will be releasing some more lost footage, or, well, not unreleased footage, another blooper reel, and I'm going to have some walkthroughs of some of the games that I have shown on this channel. Yeah, because we can't always show the whole game on here because of time restraints, but a lot of times we do record a whole walkthrough. That's correct. And so that stuff will be coming in the coming weeks, so keep an eye on this channel. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Classic Gamer 74. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Oh, I sure did. Oh, you enjoy every episode pretty much, don't you? Oh, yeah. This is a lot more fun than staying at home with my wife. I'm going to tell her you said that. No, you won't. We'll see. Oh, please don't. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's episode, you know what to do. Give us a great big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when we upload new episodes. And please, don't forget to tell your friends and family. We always would like to have new subscribers. Yeah, and we're almost up to my goal of 150. So please, help us out and help us reach our goal of 150 subscribers. Well, until I see you guys in September, this is Anthony Gamer, and I am Red the Fox, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of the summer. Please be safe, stay healthy, social distance, don't forget to wear your masks when you have to, and above all, have yourselves a great summer. Talk to you guys in the fall. Bye. Bye, everyone.